like a sellout, just like the games. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us at the 2018 Global Series Finland Games. Deputy Commissioner Bill Дэйli and I are thrilled to be back in Helsinki, where we and the NHL family are always welcomed so warmly, and we are excited about the two games we're about to present to the passionate hockey fans of Finland. The Florida Panthers and the Winnipeg Jets are two of the most talented and dynamic teams in our league. Each made significant climbs in the standings last season, and I think it's fair to say that both organizations and their fans have lofty expectations for this season. In Mark Chipman and Vinny Viola, respectively, the Jets and Panthers are blessed with visionary and committed and passionate owners, and Winnipeg's Paul Maurice and Florida's Bob Bubner are two of the brightest minds in the NHL coaching community. And as I said, each team boasts a talented roster that includes a young superstar who happens to be making a homecoming with these two games. Florida captain Alexander Barkov and Winnipeg goal scorer Patrick Laine, I think obviously will add to the excitement of these two games, and it's no coincidence that these two teams were selected. And it's been great to see the way that these two returning heroes have been celebrated here in the days leading up to these games. And frankly, the embrace for the teams here in Helsinki and the NHL people that are here as well to put on these games it's been breathtaking in terms of how spectacular it's been, both from the media coverage and fans, and when I say the media coverage, both the local media here and the media traveling with the clubs. But we're not surprised by any of this. This is what went into our thinking when we planned to be here. We've been playing games on and off in Finland since 1981. We played regular season games here going back to 2009, and I believe these will be the 6th and 7th regular season games, all here in Helsinki at Hartwall Arena. And each and every time we're here, the response has been overwhelming, and we really, really appreciate it. I'd like to thank our partner, Live Nation, for their work with us to present and promote these games. I'd also like to thank our broadcast partner, Viasat, and whether it's through the air or through their digital player, Viaplay, Viasat is bringing these games to the homes of many of the fans who aren't able to be here because, among other things, in terms of the enthusiastic response, these two games sold out in less than 5 minutes. Our return to playing regular season games in Europe these past seasons has been a fantastic success. We couldn't be more pleased, and we're already in the planning stages for future visits. And with that, Bill and I will take your questions. And again, thank you all for joining us here for these games.
If you have a question for Gary or Bill, please raise your hand and wait for the mic. We'll start in the front row here with Matt.
You just mentioned possible games in the future. I was wondering if you could elaborate on those games, some of the specifics.
So in addition to a welcome, you want some breaking news. We are trying to finalize, we're in the planning stages of playing preseason games in Germany and Switzerland. We're looking at playing a season opening game, and again, this is still all tentative, in Prague, and then 2 games in November in Stockholm. Again, it's all on the planning board. They're not official. I don't have dates, I don't have teams, but that's what's on the drawing board as we speak.
On the left side here, third row.
Juha Hietala, Ilta-Sanomat, Finland. Mr. Commissioner, over your years in NHL, has anybody ever approached you with a viable plan of European expansion team, like a real plan, real presentation?
I don't think so. You know, people have, we get plans all the time, generally unsolicited, but nobody's come to us with a viable plan, and there's probably a good reason for it, a number of good reasons. One, the travel and the wear and tear that would be necessary to have games on a regular basis throughout the season in Europe are an issue. Two, while this arena is magnificent, there aren't as many of these arenas here in Europe as there are in North America. And three, we have total respect for the professional leagues that already exist. And so we're happy to share our game. We want to do it on a more consistent basis in terms of bringing our teams over. We'd like to continue to encourage the enthusiasm, support, and development that hockey gets by bringing the world's best players in the world's best league over here. But we're not looking at any plans, and nobody's presented any that would be viable for us to actually put teams here.
I think even to consider that scenario, you need a group of teams over here. Otherwise, the travel makes it very difficult for the one team on the outpost. It's a little bit different than, say, football or American football, where you only have to play one game a week. Our game's a little bit different.
On the right side of the room, third row.
Mr. Bettman, is it possible you come to Russia with those global series? And also, KHL teams expressed interest in games with NHL teams. Does it interest you?
Everything is possible. Anything is conceivable. We have no specific plans at this point, but I would never rule anything in or out.
Second row on the right.
Mr. Bettman, one question regarding Olympics, which is a very interesting thing in global hockey in general. Do you have any clue what is the attitude and mindset of the owners of the NHL clubs to Olympics right now?
I think the attitude and focus of the NHL teams and owners is as it was going into Pyeongchang, namely the Olympics are terribly disruptive to our season. And without getting into the long-winded answer that I can give on the subject, there are a whole host of factors that have made the Olympic participation that we did have for a number of Olympics difficult and less than satisfactory. You want to add to that? No.
Front row, Brian.
Commissioner, Paul Maurice was saying this morning that we owe it to these countries to bring the game over here as a way of kind of saying thanks for the talent coming this way. You share that sentiment?
Absolutely, and I think I alluded to that in my remarks in terms of the development of the game, creating interest in the game, being supportive of the development of world-class players in countries outside of North America whose best players come to play in the world's best hockey league in North America. So, yeah, I think Paul said that very well. That's what he said.
The hockey countries in Europe have done a fantastic job developing hockey players, great hockey players. We have a lot of them in the National Hockey League.
And we're grateful to have them. We think it makes the game better, stronger, and more widely viewed from an international perspective.
On the left side, third row.
Ivo Yashi, Germany. The Oilers made a show game in Cologne. It was a big success. What do you think? Will there be a regular season game in Germany in the closer future, maybe next season?
Well, as I indicated, we're considering the possibility of a preseason game in Germany next season. You were at the game in Cologne, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was a fabulous environment. It was great. 18,000 people really into the game. And we have played a regular season game in Germany in the past. I think we played in Berlin, a regular season game. So I definitely see a future for a regular season game in Germany. Probably not next year.
On the right side, fourth row.
Oscar Karvonen, NTV Sport. Question for you both. before the season, there was a suspicion that the Philadelphia Flyers forward Jori Lehterä might be linked to a cocaine ring here in Finland. What is the situation right now?
So I'll handle that one. Yeah, obviously, very serious allegations, but it was in the form of a newspaper article. We haven't gotten any further hard information on it, although we are looking into the allegations. And when we're in a position to know what the facts are, with any kind of certainty, then we'll act appropriately.
Back right.
So there's been a lot of talk over the past couple of years of growing the game in places like China, where hockey maybe isn't quite as popular. So how much room, if any, do you think there is to grow the NHL and the NHL game here in Finland, places like it where hockey is more popular?
Well, hockey is a widely shared passion in Finland. There are great, knowledgeable fans here, and at all levels of the game, it's strong. So from our standpoint, I'm not sure it can grow anymore. What we need to do is continue to work to keep it at the extraordinarily high level that it's at. When you compare it to China, it's a country that just hasn't been familiar with the game, and we've now been there in the preseason 2 years in a row to begin to seed some interest. But to compare hockey in China to hockey in a country like Finland, you're not even in the same universe.
On the left side, third row.
Gary, you mentioned the demand here. 5 minutes to sell out, 26,000 tickets. Is there a consideration of maybe doing an outdoor game in Europe? Certainly there's venues here, the weather would be friendly towards it.
It's been suggested. There are a lot of logistics, particularly contingencies if the weather doesn't cooperate. It's something that's out there, maybe not on the horizon, but it's something we've talked about. I'm not sure. At this stage, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I like having games like this that sell out in 5 minutes. When you're selling out 60 or 70,000 tickets, it takes a little bit more work, and that's a little bit harder to do long distance, although I'm sure Live Nation could do a great job with it. It's not something that we're ready to consider doing, but we are aware of the possibility.
We have gotten mixed reviews from our consultants in market as to whether it would be successful or not, and whether kind of the tradition and the culture would support it the way it has in North America. So, before we do that, we obviously have to be very comfortable it's going to be successful.
We'll do 3 more questions on the right side, third row.
You spoke about coming games in maybe Prague and in Stockholm, but how do you view the future for NHL games in Finland, and within what time frame do you think that the next game will be arranged?
Well, maybe we should be planning more than a year in advance, but I view us coming back on a regular basis, having a consistent presence. And so if we don't do games next year, maybe the year after.
Gentlemen, you mentioned in the past with regards to China that there might be the option, possibility of regular season games as well. Is there been any progress on that front or any expansion there?
Not since I uttered those words in September. We haven't progressed either in our thinking or in our activities, but I did hold it out there, and I do believe it is a possibility at some point.
Last question on the right side, third row.
Would Slava Voinov's suspension be lifted?
So Mr. Voinov has applied for consideration of a reinstatement. We're in the process of what will be a fairly comprehensive investigation, factual investigation into the events surrounding initially his arrest and his ultimate departure from North America. I'm not in a position to give a timeline on that investigation. When that investigation is done, then the commissioner will deal with his application for reinstatement.
Thank you, Commissioner Bettman and Deputy Commissioner Daly.
Thank you all for being here, and enjoy the games.
Teppo, Newman, and will be available.